What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another watch list video. Happy Tuesday. I hope you guys are all enjoying that extremely boring price action out there today. It seems like the market is clearly just waiting for the CPI reaction. My plans won't change though. I'll still be doing what I normally do every single day, whether it's FOMC, CPI, right? But I will say today was pretty boring and slow. Sorry about yesterday's watch list video. I know there was a ton of names and a ton of like what ifs, and there was just really the moral of the story of yesterday's watches was there was no setups, and so I was trying to make setups, but thankfully my plan today was not doing anything because like I came to fruition that there was just really nothing. So didn't end up doing anything today, although I think like AEHR was nice and I'll go over that. But overall it's been a really nice consolidation. Speaking of the overall market, right on your QQQ, the market's really digesting in a pretty healthy way to me. Whether you look at your SPY, same thing, just looks like a flag. IWM, same thing, looks like a flag. So looks like it's doing nice, right? But I will say I don't see a ton to do tomorrow. You got your indexes, the volatility is contracting, but the watch lists, they've been pretty iffy, I feel like. There's been a few names out of them that have been working, but overall they've been pretty weak. But yeah, my watch has overall just been weak, and I don't know. But I will say I want to continue buying names on the long side if there's a good setup that shows up with tight risk. But we just don't have too much of that right now, especially from yesterday's. But I'll keep buying those names until they stop working because they have, like PanW or, setups that have been working for the last week, right? One out of like many for sure. But like I said, I didn't do anything today. The action for new buys though in general has been pretty good. Like Zeta from a setup from your higher low setup that has been acting awesome. AEHR I talked about yesterday as a wick play, super nice follow through today. Your wick play would just be in this instance from what I've studied, it's just like you're just buying the breakout of the pivot, but the wick play is like the candle setup. And it gave a nice like 5 minute opening range break, or even if you're just buying it through the pivot. But if a traditional wick play, whether it's like Netflix, which this is a setup I've studied right from last year, right? You get a nice base, it breaks out, it has like that wick before it goes, and then your trigger is kind of through the prior day's high. But I've seen the wick play out in different scenarios. I've seen Oliver Kell, say you need an inside day, but you don't need an inside. I don't know, but overall, I think it can be whatever you study and whatever you've seen work and whatever you're comfortable with taking with the tightest risk. But either way, right? We've seen some stuff work for sure. Like I brought up CrowdStrike, PanW, right? As breakouts. Will they go on and fall through the next few days? We'll see. I mean, these names are just stalling for a day today, and then maybe get some follow through. But there has been some stuff working, but the best looking stocks out there right now are just super. I don't know. There's just not a whole lot of hype for me around a lot of them. But let's go over the after hours movers and earnings. Right, SMCI with a nice, I think 7% move up in the after hours. Pretty interesting, which gave thankfully enough a little boost to HPE and Dell, right, gapping up a little bit in the after hours and pushing. I do own Dell. Um, but yeah, you also got CoreWeave is another one gapping up, right, to about $103, right? Above the 200-day, which is pushing your NBIS, which honestly I debated putting this one on the list. It's building some sort of a bottoming base, and it kind of had a wick play today where you have here's your wick and then the inside day. That's what your wick play would be, and then a fall through. But you're getting a big gap in the after hours. It has earnings in the morning, so I would say like this setup did almost remind me of like right here is wick play on Cypher like the day before its earnings. But I mean, this was well above the 50. It was in a great group, and now NBIS is just really not that. But you're getting a gap up. If this thing can give us a power earnings gap on earnings, then it would, make its way to my watch list or my ready list every single day. But for now, don't see too much to do with it, especially on a gap up. We'll see. It reports in the morning though, so we'll see. LITE, oops. LITE, I think, kind of made a big comeback, had an initial dump, and then overall is nice move so far. But I mean, yeah, another one where it's like I don't really see much to do there. And then I think UAMY is getting absolutely destroyed, down to $5. Doesn't surprise me. His name's a POS. But moral of the story is NBIS in the morning and CPI as well in the morning, which will be super interesting. Now let's quickly go over if I can even pull this up. Maybe I should have been a little bit more prepared here. There we go. Breath today, right, continues to hold in there today despite some weakness in the overall general market, right? Same thing with Pradeep's, pretty nice holding in there. Last week or two, right? Breast acting awesome, right? There's certain names acting good. The market's maybe having a rest day, and Breast still acting pretty nice, which is good to see. Moving back into your charts, let's go over the futures, and I'm gonna try to make this stuff super quick. Kospi, right? You're getting a big gap up, or a nice little push and a gap up in the after hours here, right? I think SNDK's up, MU's up, right? These names are all pushing, and I have MU on the list, but as you can see, right, a big push in the after hours here. So who knows? Maybe this is good. Kind of front running an CPI report tomorrow. Going over the dollar, right? Just bear flagging to me. It doesn't look too good. Gold thought was a short, possibly at the 200-day. Kind of gave an outside bar, shooting star reversal candle. Not quite to the 200-day, almost pretty much there. But either way, it's still pushing. I just don't think I'm going to short this, right? I thought AEM, pretty parabolic, but it's just, right at the 200-day. Maybe this was a spot, and then I think it was NEM was like, yeah, pretty parabolic off the lows here. But I just don't see too much to do with it. If it continues going parabolic, maybe it'll end up on my radar again. But I don't know. These names are just pretty strong right now. I don't crude back above the 50, like I said, 2 days ago, but insane group strength, right? MPC, an absolute monster. PBF, gives a higher low setup, 2 days fall through, looks great. PSX, freaking monster. VLO, monster. Like these names are this group there's insane strength, which maybe that's a bad sign for your risk on stuff. Who knows? Either way, I bring up the QQ, and it just looks like a volatility is contracting, and we're building a flag, and NQ looks awesome, and the QQ looks awesome. So we'll see what can happen. There's a lot of inside days today, right? NTAP with an inside day, which has been a name that's been acting awesome. It's not on my radar because the buy area was a week or two ago, and I'd feel like I'd just be chasing this thing now. But either way, super nice inside day. Snow, a big leading name. The buy area was a week or two ago for me personally, and nice inside day here. Palantir, same thing, right? It's past its buy area, but it's just an inside day. These names are consolidating in awesome ways. CrowdStrike, I brought this up inside day, but the buy area was yesterday, or the buy signal was yesterday, whatever you want to call it. PanW, another one, right? Practically an inside day. But either way, just a nice rest bar. TENB, a lot of people like talking about this one. It's in a good group, which is nice, but I don't see a whole lot of a big or a nice setup or a nice range being built that it could break out of. But either way, it's an inside day and it's in a good group, so not a bad look. And then LRCX, I thought I'd randomly bring this up. This one did have an inside day today, but I mean, this looks like a VCP, like a mini VCP off the lows here. Like this compared to I think it's AMAT. Like AMAT just, I don't know, there's something about this, but LRCX, the same group, I'm pretty sure, but I don't know. They're both below the 50, not a setup I'm going to be taking. But as far as an inside day and overall setup, I mean, it doesn't look too bad. But this thing's so beaten down. Not anything I care about, but as far as inside days. Now, let's go over my list here. AEVA, right? You get your earnings gap up 3 days off the earnings gap up, and you get a nice inside day. It looks like a possible higher low setup. It is overall in a base, but can this be like that higher low spot? It'll be interesting. The reason I threw this on my list, as well as OUST, same group as far as semiconductors, but your LiDAR stuff, right? This is your LiDAR theme. Another one that's, I'm trying to focus on stuff that's above the 50. This one's also above the 50. It's trying to build out a flag. It's under a nice little base inside week so far. Give us an inside day tomorrow, or just a fall through above today's highs would be a super interesting spot as well. But overall, it's that LiDAR theme, and these things are, I think OUST, not gapped up on earnings, but gapped up a few days before earnings. But AEVA did gap up on earnings, so interesting. Power earnings gap, maybe just continue building out here as like a flag would be super interesting. Speaking of a flag post earnings, Amazon was looking like one, still possibly can, but you had your first bearish engulfing, there's your second bearish engulfing, and I mean, yeah, no, just not my favorite look right now. The action's just too choppy, and it's not the best. But I will say, if we get a nice CPI report and this puts in an inside day tomorrow, maybe I change my mind. But the overall MAGS group, the MAGS group breaking down a little bit today. Google getting absolutely hammered. I thought it looked okay yesterday, but there was really no setup for me. And then it getting absolutely clobbered today is a good sign. Amazon with the bearish engulfing. Microsoft is extended, so there's no buy here. And Nvidia is just, it needs to continue pulling back and building out this flag. But overall, it doesn't look too bad, right? And if you want to jump into your semiconductors, right? I think I didn't throw AVG on the list, but AVGO doesn't look too bad either. Continue building out, whatever flag it's trying to build here, maybe pull into the support gap. It's above the 50 though, which is important, and which is something I want to keep an eye on here, which is super interesting. But going over like an Okta on my list here looks awesome, right? You're building an awesome range. You're in a great group, right? We talked about net the last few days. It gave a buy spot on Monday morning, right at the pivot. This was, I mean, this name trades like shit. If you look at the price history, I mean, it is so choppy. Like, it's not linear at all. So it really trades pretty poorly. But overall, it's been acting nice. The relative strength's been awesome. But I just don't see setups that are screaming in my face, really. But I mean, this group's awesome, right? Net, you got RBRK has been acting pretty awesome too. It's well out of its base, or 2 days out of it, 2 or 3 days out of its base. Inside day to day, I wouldn't be buying this inside day personally, but if you own it, this is a nice day to see. Right, you got PanW, we've talked about 50 times, and then the Sentinel one or Centennial one, another one that's been trending pretty nicely, I think at new 52-week highs here. So super interesting, or very close to new 52-week highs if I'm not mistaken. I don't know, but either way, just it's been a nice one. It's in the software cybersecurity groups, looking pretty nice. So that group is nice. And Okta, like what I'm looking for on this one is just a break of the range, right? A break out of 153 bucks. But I will watch today's highs as my spot, as my trigger spot. But besides that, I think this one looks pretty good. It's building a nice little cup base. Looks awesome, right? This name trends a little bit better than a net, in my opinion, right? It had a nice consolidation here that gave an awesome spot as just a breakout if you were patient enough. And yeah, I think it can maybe give us that again. So above the prior day highs, what I'll definitely be watching here on this one. I talked about AEVA above the prior day high would be interesting, or another inside day. I think that would be too tight. I don't know if we'll get that that tight, but this looks like a possible higher low setup. OUST looks like a possible wick play. Give us an inside day tomorrow would be awesome, but either way through the prior day high would be an awesome spot. Amazon I talked about, right? Could it be building a flag? I want to watch this for a higher low though, because I mean, you had a big earnings gap up, right? Got pretty extended, just needs to consolidate, needs to build higher lows. But I think down to the earnings open would be an interesting spot. So I will watch that. But besides that, I'm not going to stock this every 5 minutes. Dell, a name I own, through the prior day high, looks like it's trying to build a flag. You look at a weekly chart, it's an inside week so far, but right under the range. Get above the prior day high, push through there, and then break out of the range would be super interesting. It's a name I own. My stop is still at Friday's lows. Would be interesting. I'd like to see a push tomorrow and then be able to move my stop up to today's lows. Other than that, FTNT, one of my favorite setups on the list here. Super nice consolidation is building after the earnings gap up. It's building some sort of a flag. Looks like a higher low setup. You put in the inside day to day through the prior day high. This is a name I really would like to take tomorrow. I think it looks pretty good. Still in a range though, but you break above the prior day high and maybe we can get cooking out of the range, and this will give you a good spot to get a higher low. GH, right? I also threw Eli Lilly on this list as well as far as your health technology sector, right? GH looks pretty good. You had an inside week last week, and it's just consolidating here. I don't see like perfect like clarity as far as the action right now, right? You had an outside bar yesterday and you're kind of just continuing lower today. So find support either in this gap off the 20-day. We'll see where it wants to find support. But nonetheless, it's a name I want to continue to keep an eye on. It's building a nice range, but it's kind of wedging here in the last week. So continue to watch it. HP, kind of same thing. It's like wedging, or it's just been straight up. It's out of its base. Maybe just, consolidate, build an actual flag here at the first flag out the base. And I'd be even more interesting. But, it's in the Dell group. So, and it's been one of the ones holding up the best. I'd like to see this thing go to a new high. But nonetheless, it's out of its base, and I'd like to see it build a flag here. So I don't see anything viable today on this one, or really even GH. But just names I want to keep an eye on. Eli Lilly though, right? It had an awesome setup yesterday as far as a higher low, right? Awesome fall through as an OEL. Let's see a range break. It's building a double bottom base. It looks like a double bottom base here. So super interesting to see some follow through out of this range, right? I'm going to be watching that 1,238 buck range to just break out, which is pretty much today's high. So give us a break out of today's highs. You had a nice stall bar today on low volume. Looks like we could break out of that. MU, right? It's in that DRAM group, which is this group is so tight. I mean, you got SanDisk so tight, but this name, held up. I mean, it was slightly green today. STX, I think, was another one that's slightly green today, but these names are still below the 50, but they are so damn tight. WDC is so tight, right? So I will want to keep an eye on Micron. Will it break higher here? It is getting a super big push in the after hours because the Kospi is going up, which we looked at the beginning here, which is breaking out of that mother bar high, getting back above the 10 and 20 day. Interesting to say the least. So we'll see if Micron can get a nice move tomorrow, right? It's been super tight. I'll watch this over the prior day high, which actually is already breaking above that. So we'll see, right? We'll see where it can break out. In the morning, this is a setup I want to pay attention to, but it's so tight that it's a name I just want to keep an eye on. So we'll see what can happen with that one. But I don't know if I see anything viable too much tomorrow. Just a name I want to keep an eye on. Net, I talked about. I'm just going to watch it. This is another one where I don't think it's viable tomorrow, but it's been acting really nice as far as its strength relative to the market. Build a flag here the next few days would be super interesting. Okta, flat base breakout above today's highs. OUST, same thing. TQQQ, right? I talk about how the NASDAQ looks like it's either going to break down a little bit more and build a higher low, or this is a higher low here. We get an inside day tomorrow, or just a fall through above today's highs as well. I'll be looking for on the TQQQ. Other than that, it looks like a possible higher low. It's, volatility is contracting. you had a nice move up, and in this pullback, volume's kind of drying up a little bit, right? I probably want to look at my QQQ, right? Volume's drying up a little bit after a nice volume push on the move up, but overall, above the prior day high would be super interesting to see that. And that's what I'm looking for on TQQ. And then TSM, one of the names that I debated putting on the list, but nonetheless, I just wanted to put on here. If the semis can wake up, SMH not quite an inside day, almost, right? It broke to yesterday's lows barely. But TSM is so tight under that 50-day inside day today. Get us a push through that. This is when I like focusing on stocks that are below their 50, is when they're so tight under it. So give us a push above the prior day high. It's a name I want to keep an eye on. Looks super interesting, right? Consumers look good, whether it's your Elf, Cake, and I'm not going to go through all of them. There's a ton of them, right? And then I got some peg setups, power earnings gaps, right? IOVA, Airbnb, give us a flag, give us some actual tightness. Amazon, like I talked about, let it keep going sideways. Shop looks awesome inside day today, but let it keep going sideways. Not too much clarity. THC doesn't look too bad, right? Post earnings, it's building higher lows into a pivot. Looks not too bad. Man H, I think this is software, doesn't look too bad. Big earnings gap up. Oops, I actually might have written the name. APPS, right? Failed today, was weak while the rest of the group wasn't, but I don't know. We'll see if this one can actually work. It looks like a possible failed breakout, but it is an earnings gap up. And then, of course, I see the LMTs. I see these super slow names. I just don't pay attention to these names because they don't meet my ATR, ADR requirement. But nonetheless, these setups look pretty good. I saw this name a few days ago, or, setting up post earnings, but it's just not something I'm putting on my list because, this is not stuff I trade. But nonetheless, it looks good. Let's be patient tomorrow, see what happens with CPI in the morning, and take names if they trigger. For names that you see, if you see some stuff on my list that looks pretty good, and you can get some tight risks in the morning, we'll see. I can see the market could have a few possible scenarios from here, so I'd like to see more participation in semis, memory names, and these slightly extended software names build flags and offer real setups, right? I don't want to be buying a 2-day tight candle on an extended name just because the group's great. Like, the group is great, but and I also don't want to be just constantly getting chopped to pieces in a gigantic range like Dell. So I'll see you all in the morning. Appreciate you for watching. Peace.